My name is Olga,
And my name is Lidiya.
and how I came about to choosing ultrasound and sonography for my career choice was my entire life I always thought that there was either medical or engineering. I never knew that there was something more than that. So I knew that I wasn't really good in math. So I knew engineering was out of the picture. So I had to choose between what job I wanted with medical. And everybody in my family was either into medical or ultrasound. So that's that. And then when in fourth grade, I broke my elbow, and I loved the person who was an ortho doctor when they would put on casts and how they would just take it was like a simple job, but like taking casts on, taking it off, and you're just like interacting with the patient, and it's just like a whole milestone for them, whether it's their first cast. Well, for me it was. And then I thought that was interesting, so I wanted to be an ortho doctor and a person who also puts casts on. But then later on, I kind of got tired of that because I'm a person who moves jobs a lot, which I guess isn't a good thing, but I get bored fast. So then when 3 years ago, my side started to hurt really, really bad. And then I went to the ER, and it wasn't appendix and it wasn't kidney stones because it doesn't really run in my family. So then when I went in, they had to do an ultrasound to see whether there was a blood clot or whether there's something wrong. And I was just like talking to the lady who was doing it, and she just like totally inspired me. And like, it's a job that you come in with different patients every single time, but because it's different, that's what I like. But it's the same concept of like ultrasound and sonography, where you're doing the same thing, but it's in different parts of the body, and you come in with different patients, which is something I like because I like something different every day. But like, a lot of people would think like, why not ER? I don't like the mysterious part. Like, I like to see charts and who's coming in and what I'm looking for, and so, and like who I'm going to be talking to. So in that sense, that's kind of why I chose ultrasound, was because like when I was in pain, someone found a way, what was wrong with me, and a solution to my problem. So that's my personal story.
My personal story has some similarities with Olga. I too don't like the ER, like anxious side of it. I like having an order and executing that procedure. So just to begin with, I don't have a clear career that I want to step into, but I know that I'm meant for medical field, and I have two stories to share. So the first one is whenever we go on trips with my family or with friends, I'm always that person that has the first aid kit. So I always run over, and if someone's hurt, I like to be there to help them and heal them through the hurting process. So I'm very compassionate in that way. And then my second story is when my dad went fishing, and one day he came home, and as usual, I start gutting the fish as a little kid. Well, little, and I was a teenager, whatever. And so our neighbor came home one day. He was a guy in his like teenager years, and he was really squeamish when he saw the fish gutting, and I was like, why are you not okay? So I realized that not everyone has like the gut for medicine, and if I can handle it, then maybe I should step into this career. So through high school, I went through the PLTW program, and that's where I met Robert, the diagnostic imaging tech that came over and shared his experience. So he let me shadow a lot of surgeries, and I was really interested in the ultrasound department because every day it wasn't just like pregnant people, it was people that came in for like neck blood vessels, and it was just really interesting for me to see, and I was always interested in that department. So let's jump into our video.
So with our physical presentation, we're doing a slideshow, and can you hold this?
Yeah.
And then we're gonna just jump right in. Okay, so what it takes to become an ultrasound, there's 3 different routes. There's one that's a certificate where you can go into a private college, and it's roughly a 12-month clinical experience, and then a minimum education. Like, you just need the basic, just going in straight into high school, and then you just get a 1-year certificate, and then you just go after into the sonography program. And then there's a different route that's with associate's degree. That's like also, for example, the one people who are going into the Consumes River route, that public college. So that one, you just need to come in with an associate's degree, and then they just teach you all the hands-on clinical things that you need to become an ultrasound tech, and then you're specialized in sonography. And then a different route that also is with bachelor's. If you want to do a bachelor's, which right now I honestly recommend, because with every medical field, it's just you're not going to be in competition. You're just going to be at the higher one, instead of you're going to outbeat everybody who's with an associate's and everybody who's with a certificate. And for example, because it's really hard for programs right now, I recommend and was thinking the Richmond Kaiser one. It's a 18-month program, and you come in with an associate's in science. So for example, like an allied health degree, you come in with that and all the prereqs done, and then it's 18-month program and you're licensed in sonography, and then you get your bachelor's in science in sonography.
Moving on to job duties and descriptions. So when you're an ultrasound tech, you're gonna have to place the patient in a good position. You're gonna take measurements. They look at different things such as biopsy, tissue for biopsy. They look at blood vessels, they look at tumors, and once they get a good reading, it can either be a video or an image, they send it to the primary care provider, and the doctor then diagnoses and discusses that image with the patient. There are some cons that comes with this job, and that is that the picture quality is not always easy to read, so it's an investigation into what you want to find. It's a direct hands-on position. You have to be okay with being on your feet for a long time. You have to turn the patient, and if they're heavy or disabled, it can be a challenge to get them into the right
patients.
Yeah. So it's also a full-time position if you choose to go that route, and you can be on call, which is kind of a negative. So you get called into work in like the middle of the night, you have to report fast to your job.
And with on-call, to add on to Lydia, a lot of times you don't get benefits and you're not in a union with on-call, which that's where a lot of people start off as on-call, and then they'll move up positions once they've been there long enough, and then the position opens up. And with benefits, like I was just saying, there's health insurance, dental, vision, 401k for your retirement, paid time off, PTO, and then the good thing with sonography is you don't get radiation as much. Well, it's mostly for the patient they get the radiation, but me being there as the sonographer, even with its general or prenatal, you don't get radiation. It's more of, that's where MRI, CAT scan, X-ray tech, that's where you're more exposed to radiation, whereas with ultrasound, you're not at all. And then it's shorter schooling, which is a huge plus, because unlike some programs and with doing all the prereqs, they'll take about like 4+ years. And then it's a very calm environment, which is it's not very fast. And even if you work in the ER as an ultrasound, it's still super calm. Like, you still are taking patients in, because you're not directly in the ER admitting patients in that fast rush like EMTs. And then it's also, you could either work in a clinic or you could also work in a hospital. It's whatever you prefer and your preferences on which you like best and what suits you. And then some possibility specialties are like the OBGYN, where if you want to do the prenatal, where you're doing babies, and if you want to do that, that's prenatal, which we are mostly focusing on the general of sonography, like everything overall. And then also you could go into cardiac, and then neuro, where it's like you also are focusing on the heart with the rhythms and any blood clots. And then it's also all based with machines, so you're gonna see it.
Okay, so the thing that I didn't know is that these ultrasounds, they're mobile. So you can take them up to the patient's floor, and that's when we have our bedside manners that come into play. So I'll just share a few qualities that you have to have, and soft skills is being very friendly. You want to come up to the patient, greet them, make sure they're comfortable, address their concerns, make sure they are safe. And a thing that I think is very important for ultrasound techs is that when you look at an image, you want to be collective in your body expressions. You don't want to be like shocked, because they're going to be like, oh no, what's wrong?
Yeah.
But only the doctor can say that. So be professional, be effective in expressing yourself, and be confident. And along with that, you have to have decisive judgment. If things go wrong when you're examining the patient, know what to do next, and just be ready, be eager to learn, and follow and execute those orders in a timely manner is important.
Yeah, and to add on to Lydia, although you are independent in your own room with the patient, even with prenatal, you can't like, even the patients would love to know what gender it is. You also can't give that away, like whether it's a boy or a girl, even though it's considered a diagnostic ultrasound sonographer, you know what if it's a boy or girl, but you don't have the right to give it up to the patient. That is where they have to see a specialist, and that's where we do our part and send that information to the specialist and to the doctor. So with statistics in California, based in California, it's $41 an hour. And then, which you get a lot of overtime, is from what I hear. So it honestly is kind of good. And then yearly, it's $72,000 a year, which isn't bad with the amount of schooling that you have to go through. And then these are the states that have like the highest, which is of course California is always the highest. And then it goes throughout the lower states. If you want to take a closer look on our visual, it is uploaded. So thank you for watching us and for giving us your time.